Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of the Victoria's Secret Karen? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing you in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, consider supporting me on Patreon, and check out my podcast. I will put the relevant links in the description for this video. I'll start with the narrative of what happened in this incident, and then I'll move to my analysis. This case involves an incident that occurred at the Short Hills Mall in New Jersey. It primarily involves two people, a black woman named Ijeoma Ukenta and a white woman named Abigail Elphick. Both women were in a Victoria's Secret retail store when, according to Ukenta, Elphick bumped into her when they were both looking at a clothing rack. This prompted Ukenta to start recording Elphick. In the very beginning of the recording, it does appear as though Elphick is moving toward Ukenta, holding her right hand in the air, as if she's going to assault Ukenta, or maybe she was trying to grab Ukenta's phone. According to Ukenta, as soon as she started recording, Elphick's demeanor changed completely, moving from aggressive to playing the victim. This is also evident in the video recording. Elphick seems to retreat and expresses a distressed look on her face. At this point, Elphick starts crying or pretending to cry. Ukenta is narrating her video at this point. She really narrates it the whole way through. She talks about how Elphick just tried to hit her. Of course, Elphick can hear this. They're only about 8 to 10 feet apart. Elphick says that she did not try to hit her and screams, "Please don't record me." She continues crying or pretending to cry, as well as screaming. Elphick implores others around her to intervene in the situation. At this point, Elphick appears to pretend to pass out. It was like slow motion. She conveniently passed out with her head on her purse. And she really just kind of moved to the ground at such a slow pace that no injury would occur there. Not long after this, she does this type of shaking motion with her legs and starts screaming again, pointing at Ukenta and asking people to stop her from recording. The screaming gets louder and more dramatic. It converts into a screeching sound. Elphick starts charging Ukenta like she's moving toward her, all the while screaming, "Get her away from me." So she was the one closing the distance, but she wanted Ukenta to get away from her. Geometry and logic don't seem to be Elphick's strong suit. Elphick also said, "Stop threatening me," even though Ukenta had not threatened her. At this point, the pair was about 20 feet apart or so they changed positions. Elphick calls the police as she is standing near the entrance of the store. Elphick charges at Ukenta again, but then stops well short of her. Mall security shows up. A security guard quickly leans on one of the fixtures in the store as he is talking to Ukenta. I guess he was having an exhausting day of walking around the mall. Two police officers from the Millburn Police Department arrive. One officer is talking to Elphick outside the store, and another one is talking to Ukenta. He really looks excited to be there. The officer tells Ukenta that he cannot remove Elphick from the mall. After this, Elphick left the mall voluntarily. According to a police report that Ukenta recorded on her phone, like she was recording the actual pieces of paper, Elphick indicated she was having a panic attack and was concerned about losing her job and apartment. So this is what she was complaining to the police about. At the time making this video, the police are still investigating. They initially concluded that no physical contact was made during the confrontation. Of course, there are crimes that don't involve physical contact. However, it seems as though the police are leaning toward not charging anyone. Now moving to my analysis. What do I think actually happened in the situation? So this is my opinion. I don't know what happened. There's a lack of context because we don't know what happened before the recording started or after it ended. The incident starts with some type of minor rude behavior. Elphick bumps into Ukenta, who then starts recording. I think that Elphick was probably trying to grab the phone, but then it started recording and it was too late. She was caught. Now aware of her tenuous position, Elphick tries to enlist the help of people around her by throwing a temper tantrum. It may have been a panic attack. There's no way to know for certain. It seemed like Elphick retained a lot of control over her behavior. For example, the screaming and the screeching in there as well, pretending to pass out, directing Ukenta to stop recording, asking for help from many different people, chasing Ukenta around the store, and calling the police. Usually when somebody's having a panic attack, they are unable to engage in a variety of complex functions. Although again, everybody is a little different, so who knows? It did appear as though Elphick knew what she was doing and had control over her behavior. She was trying to manipulate the situation. She was trying to pretend that Ukenta was the aggressor, but the evidence doesn't support that narrative. The next question, who was right and who was wrong in the situation? In my opinion, Ukenta did what she needed to do to protect herself. She was under no obligation to stop recording or to leave the store. I actually think it was a smart move because Elphick was trying to falsely accuse her. I think Elphick was in the wrong. Assuming that she bumped into Ukenta by accident, she could have just apologized and gone about her day. If she really did not want to be recorded, she should have walked out of the store. At the very beginning of the recording, like in the first few frames that were recorded, it did look like Elphick was being aggressive, but she still had a defense at that point. She could have just said that she was reaching to grab something. It only looked like she was trying to hit Ukenta or grab her phone. Once Elphick had the temper tantrum, she really no longer had a defense. Now everybody was going to find out what she did once the video was released. So it was her own behavior that got her in trouble. Moving to the next question, Ukenta complained that the police did not protect her. She said that she felt threatened by Elphick. Some people have doubted if she really felt threatened based on the fact that she was laughing and didn't retreat. I think, too, because Ukenta was narrating the whole thing and kind of funny sometimes, it didn't really seem like she was under the threat of harm or death. Someone can still laugh and feel threatened. I think it's reasonable to believe that Ukenta was concerned about being attacked. I don't think that she believed that Elphick was capable of killing her or something like that, but certainly capable of striking her. As far as the retreating, I don't think retreating was a good idea for Ukenta. Again, she was being falsely accused. She needed to present her side of the story when the police arrived and be able to show them the video evidence or send it to them. The next question, did Elphick break the law? I don't think the first part of the recording captured a crime. Again, it's not clear what Elphick was trying to do with her hand, but the part where she was chasing Ukenta around the store, that does seem pretty incriminating. It looks like menacing. What would Elphick have done if she had caught up with Ukenta? Grabbed the phone, struck her? Either way, it would not have been good. Now, Elphick could argue that she was just trying to get closer to talk, but she really did seem to have an aggressive demeanor. Now, just because I believe that a crime may have been committed doesn't mean that a jury could be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. A jury could look at this case and just see two women arguing in a store, like maybe they both shared some responsibility in what happened, and therefore just dismiss the whole thing. One thing that occurs to me when contemplating this case is that temper tantrums often do accomplish their intended purpose. Elphick's strategy was to cause other people to feel strong emotions so that they would act impulsively in her defense. Studies have shown that screeching is more distressing to people than a female screaming. Elphick featured both in her so-called meltdown. In the video, we see that one of the customers asked Ukenta to leave or stop recording, something like that. Ukenta refused, which I think was the smart move, but just the fact that she was asked to leave demonstrates how effective temper tantrums can be. Elphick's screeching caused so much discomfort that people really wanted her to stop, although it is worth noting that for the most part, people simply ignored her. This is usually the best strategy for diffusing a temper tantrum. One would have to wonder if Elphick employed this strategy before with success, but here she failed because she was being recorded and Ukenta did not back down and just walk out of the store. I also have to wonder why a woman in her early 20s would be using a strategy more common in 3-year-olds. It makes me think that this may have actually been her most successful coping mechanism. Things like reasoning and being polite paled in comparison to the power of the temper tantrum. Now moving to my final thoughts, I have two here. First, recording has really changed everything about the way people interact in public. Now bystanders are reluctant to get involved because they don't want to be part of the story. I think before, it would have been more tempting for people to maybe get in between and start telling one person they were right or wrong. Now, in today's environment, when people are being recorded, they just go about their business as if they're not seeing anything. In a way, it's kind of awkward to see people tending to their transactions, walking around the store, almost pretending not to see anything that's going on. In a way, the recording makes people more inauthentic, but also keeps them out of trouble. So it's both good and bad in some ways. Moving to the second item, this story highlights an important function of shame. Elphick's manipulative and dramatic presentation indicated she was not experiencing shame or was disregarding the feeling. So maybe she felt the shame creep in, but she just pushed it away. She didn't act on it. People usually think of shame as negative, something harmful, and it can be, but it can also be useful. The feeling of shame can tell us when it may be better to avoid certain behaviors. The advice that shame provides should always be processed. Sometimes it should be disregarded, but other times it is a voice of wisdom that can prevent more shame from visiting. Those are my thoughts on the case of the Victoria's Secret Karen. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.